My race today is to be better than I was yesterday. Hi, and welcome to Helping You Perform. I'm your host, Paul Teasdale. Over a career working with high-performing teams from across the globe, including 7 years working with Formula One team McLaren, I've learned a lot about what it takes to drive results. In this weekly podcast series, I'm going to be bringing you tips, tricks and insights from the world of Formula One that you can apply to your organisation for your high performance. Enjoy. Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of Helping You Perform, where I bring my tips, tricks, insights and stories from the world of F1 and beyond to help you accelerate your own performance. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode 68, where I talked about the fact that you can't win if you don't finish, and you can't finish if you don't start. So if you haven't listened to that episode, go back, have a listen, think about how that applies to you and your team. And this week, I want to sort of add a little bit of flavour to that as well, which is about you've got to look to win your own race. Now, that own race can be in the context of the wider race that's happening. It can be you against the competition. It can be you against your own personal targets. So if I take an F1 example in this case, back in those days when McLaren wasn't doing too well, there's no point in starting the race when you're at the back of the grid and you haven't been performing and you can't get that performance out of the car and out of the drivers, that ultimately your competition is blowing you out the water. Then if you're trying to win the race you're in, if you're trying to be first in that particular race, going in and not having the goods to actually get there yet, then you're only going to get bitterly disappointed and you're going to be setting yourself targets that are completely unachievable. It's going to demotivate you. It's going to demotivate your team. And you're going to just start to think, there's no point in even trying to get to that. Therefore, I'm not going to try to do anything. Whereas if you have a different mindset that says, my own race here is to maybe beat that one team that's in front of me, or beat the points that I scored in the last race. If I got right to the back of the grid, or maybe I got finished in 10th and got 1 point, let's see if we can get 2 points. Let's see what we can do this week that's going to get us a little bit better. And even if you're not in the points, what can I do to go from being sort of the late teens, sort of in the finishing of, let's say, 17th place out of 20 odd cars? What can I do to get up to 15th, to 14th, to 13th? I'm not setting myself something that's completely unachievable, but I'm setting myself a race and a target in that race that gives me that motivation to do that little bit better. And I can see that I can get there if only I do a few smaller things that are going to help me to win that race. And that might be the same in your organization, for you as an individual or for your team. I've seen this individual salespeople, for instance. They might have people who are so far ahead of them in terms of what they're able to achieve because of their experience or the way in which they're working, or some other circumstances where there's no point in trying to set your sales targets against what they're achieving and set your goals to what somebody else is achieving who has a completely different situation to you. Set yourself targets that are achievable to yourself. Maybe if you don't have a direct piece of competition to compare yourself to, compare yourself to yourself. That's always a great one. How can I be better? My race today is to be better than I was yesterday. And that's my race. I don't want to try and blow the other competition out the water, because I know that's not really achievable in this circumstance. But if I can just get better and be consistent about that, then ultimately I'm going to work my way up and ultimately start to get to that front of the grid and being on the podium and winning the overall race. But in the meantime, what can I do to win my own race? Setting meaningful targets that motivate and challenge and give you something to really work towards. And as always with these things, I'd love to hear how you're applying this thinking. I'd love to hear what's going on in your world where you can set yourself your own race that you're trying to win, so that you are just getting that little bit better every day. Drop me a line through the website at paulteasdale.co.uk, or drop me a message through any of the channels, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Helping You Perform podcast. If you found value in this episode, please take a moment to like, share, or review the podcast. You can reach out to me at any time, either through LinkedIn or through my website at www.paulteasdale.co.uk. I look forward to speaking to you in the next episode.